Yes. So we are now live on YouTube also. For those who are having difficulties facing the logging into Zoom, can click on our YouTube channel for the same webinar. We decided resume making as a topic because we feel that it's very ignored and people are having a lot of difficulties in understanding what exactly should come into their resume. So we are now live on YouTube also. For those who are having difficulties facing the logging in Zoom, can click on our YouTube channel for the same webinar. We decided resume making as a topic because we feel that it's very ignored and people are having a lot of difficulties in understanding what exactly should come into their resume. So today, when I worked as an academician for a very short span, and I was given a topic of teaching professional ethics, wherein I realized that people are actually facing difficulties. What should be actually placed in their curriculum today to highlight their potential as a physiotherapist? We are very good clinically, we are good with our patient care, but when it comes to actually putting our points on a paper, we are facing troubles. Okay, so today we are here with our expert, who is one of my colleagues with whom I started my bachelor's in physiotherapy. We both are from Nair Hospital, and he is Anuj. So, Anuj, we welcome you to this session. And he, after completing his bachelor's in physiotherapy, he did his business management from York University, Canada. And he's the subject expert for today. And he's going to start off with the presentation first. We would appreciate any queries and questions which you guys have, but we'll answer them towards the end. You can definitely put them into the chat box, and then we will answer one by one. So Anuj, we welcome you. Anuj, you're not audible.
Oh, thank you so much for that. I was on mute. Okay, so once again, I'll repeat. Thank you, Pradnya, for the fantastic introduction. I think my current introduction would be I'm working in the bank. It's called Bank of Montreal right now in Toronto. And I have gone through all these phases of resume making. So I have been there in the place that people are listening to this video right now. And I started as a physiotherapist, and then I moved into MBA, and it was completely different horizon for me, and it was completely different struggle for getting that resume to up to the mark. Okay, so let's go through the details. I am not very good at Zoom, so I might make some errors, so please ignore those. Okay, perfect. So resume writing is an art than a science, meaning that it's
Anuj,
not always.
Anuj, sorry to interrupt you. Your voice is very low.
Oh, okay. Just give me a moment. Can you hear me now?
Better.
Okay. So I'll hold this microphone like this. Okay. So why resume is art and not a science? It's because it's not always 1 + 1 becomes 2. It's how you portray your information. It's more like a painting. When you do a painting, you don't think of any specific science like this is how the line should be or this is how it should be looking like. It's all the picture coming from your mind, and it's for the audiences, so how the audiences receive it, right? So that's how your resume is. It's coming from your brain. Basically, it's your own creativity that you put your information into a paper, and with an objective that the reader of the resume will like it, and you'll get the call for the interview. So these are the key topics that we are going to discuss today. And what you're going to learn today is about what is the resume, basically why we call it a resume. And also we are going to discuss about approach to the resume writing. So what are the different styles? I'm focusing on the one that I use for myself. I have gone through various cycles and come up with this approach, basically. And the various sections of the resume, meaning what should we include, like as a section in the resume is a paragraph maybe, and then we'll go into Q&A. All right. Okay. So let's move to the next slide. So what is a resume? We all call a paper which has details on it a resume, but it's basically a French word. That's why it's called resume. There is other meaning of the same spelling in English, but it's not the same. Um, it's basically, again, it's a summary of your qualifications and your career. Um, so the history of resume goes back to like 1480s, where it was first created. It was said that it was created by the Leonardo da Vinci, and that's why it's used in a French language like a resume, right? Some of you might have seen it called a CV or curricular VT. So it's the same thing. It's only that within North America, like US and Canada, for all the corporate jobs or in the job in the basically non-academic institutions, they use a word resume. If you go all rest of the world, like if you go to the Europe, India, Britain, they will call it a CV or curricular vitae. Specifically in North America, US, Canada, they use CV as a reference to the resume for the academics, meaning PhD, MPhil. When you're applying, use the title as career vitae, and don't use the title. Sorry, the name of the file as a curricular vitae, so that they are clear what you're submitting. All right. So yeah. Okay. Perfect. So why you need one? So it's very obvious that you want to apply for the job, but it's a mean for you to introduce yourself, meaning, um, so you are reaching out to someone who doesn't know you, and that person will know you only when you provide some details about your qualifications, and what you have done in the past, right? So that's how you introduce yourself. You make that summary to sit with the employer, meaning, um, if let's say you're talking on the phone, how much you're going to remember the other person, or how much accomplishments you are going to remember of the other person, right? So this resume basically provides you a means to provide that summary in a concise manner, and connect the dots between your overall career history and education, so that the person who is reading it can understand completely what is your experience, what are your skills, and what value you're going to bring to the company. All right. Okay. So this is the approach that I typically use for my resume. As I mentioned before, right? So I have gone through multiple cycles of resume. I was creating physiotherapy focused resume. Initially, I remember still when I applied for MBA, right? So MBA requires a resume, and it also requires to go through the interview process. So uh, that resume was really very, like, if I reflect on that resume now, it was really very basic resume, and had the details which were not required in that resume, right? And it was missing a lot of details which I could have added into that resume. So then I got into MBA. I learned few things through during my course, and then I started searching for job. But then I realized, okay, so my resume is not working because I'm not getting any interview calls, so I think I'll have to fix it. So I did some research, I read some books and all those things. And this approach is basically is a result of that overall research. We'll go through each step through the details, and we can also discuss questions at the end if you have any. All right, I'll just give a quick 5 seconds for you to look at this approach once again. All right, let's move to the first step. The first step is self inventory. What this means is basically you should be, before creating a resume, you should be reflecting on your career, on your education and training that you have taken. And reflecting doesn't mean that what the only positions you have held or only degrees you have completed or trainings you have completed. No, it means that what you have done in your career, it means that what you have done in your education from the beginning, like when you got an admission to the college to the end when you cleared your degree, right? What all the activities you have done in your overall education. And again, it goes for training. What are the skills that you learn? Why did you pay money to get that training done, right? So that is more important to reflect on. Like you also be looking at the wins that you achieved during your curriculum, but you should be also looking at the failures, because that can help you in turning around some points that as a win in the resume. Plus it will also help you for the interview, right? There are a few things why this is important. So again, it gives you different ways to describe yourself, meaning that let's say you are a general physiotherapist, meaning you are just a graduate out of a bachelor of physiotherapy, and you're looking for a job. You are looking for a job, let's say in orthopedic focused, musculoskeletal focused physiotherapy. Then you can describe yourself accordingly. You can gather your accomplishments, your achievements from your curriculum, and describe yourself as a orthopedic or musculoskeletal focused physiotherapist. That's your value proposition, right? Again, like if you're the other clinic is regarding the neuro or peds, then you can describe yourself differently with those specific achievements into your resume. That's why you need this self inventory, so you know everything about yourself. It keeps you focused, because when you're looking for a job, you're all over, and like every option seems suitable. Every job ad looks like, okay, oh, I fit into this job ad, why shouldn't I apply? But then this self inventory allows you to reflect on what you are exactly and what you should be looking for. So it will give you an idea of your skills and experiences so that you can target some specific jobs. It also helps you identify, sorry, the next point we already discussed what you're looking for. Let's jump to the next one. It allows you to picture in the job role, meaning, uh, so let's say you have to describe some role that you have played into your graduation. That role relates to the job you're looking for. Now you can paint the picture of how I would have been worked in my education during the time, right? And based on that, you can describe in your resume, okay, so I welcomed the patient. I looked at his gait when he's walking in. Then I tried to figure out what might be the wrong with this person. Then I further, then I analyzed or I assessed the patient and everything. So you can picture yourself, and then you can put together the points. You can break down various different bigger achievements into smaller ones to make sure that everything that you want to put in the resume is good enough. These are the different categories. So if you look here, these are the different categories that will help you. People is basically, okay, sorry. So people is about what kind of people you would like to work with, or what kind of people you like to be surrounded with when you're working on the job, right? So this gives you an idea of, so reflect on back, what kind of people you like to work with, and do you want the same people in your life when you're looking for a new job? I mean, not life, looking for same people on the next job when you're looking for the job. Okay, so that's the people category. Working conditions is basically the hours of work, or how are the different facilities provided at the work and all that. So reflect on the past, find out what you like, and then look for those kind of working conditions. Then you also be looking for the knowledges, meaning let's say it's a research based job, and do you have that kind of knowledge? Or if the job requires you to understand a specific skill, do you have that skill or not? Right. The skills is basically what you developed during your curriculum. So what you develop during your education, training, and your career as the skill. It's not as a knowledge, because skill you cannot acquire through the book. Skill you have to gain through hands-on experience. So it gives you a full complete picture, full library of your skills, what you can do and what you can't. And it will keep you focused on the job finding too. Geographies is basically where you like to work. Like if you like to work in Maharashtra, Pune, or let's say you like to work in US. So based on that, it will keep you focused on what you're targeting, where to go, and what is the specific requirements for those geographies. And salary is always the everyone's favorite. So just keep in mind that you are going to do hard work to on your job, so you should be having some kind of salary in your mind when you're looking for the job, and target that salary, like at least give a hard try before saying that okay, I can accept whatever I want. All right. So once you have the self inventory, what you can do is identify the employer requirements. What does this mean is basically you go through the job description, read the job descriptions, shortlist 3 or 4 job descriptions which you like, where you can work, and like go through each line of it. Break that one each line into multiple segments. Like let's say a job says that there should be a detailed assessment of the patient. What does detailed assessment of the patient means? Right. So you have to understand the whole picture, like what does this one word means. So the example that I have given here, right? So what you can see is, go on the general description, go on the web, or find out some person who knows about this clinic. Try to get information on what this clinic specializes in, right? So that will give you an understanding. Okay, so this clinic might be an ortho clinic, and the assessment that they might be talking about is the clinical assessment, right? Let's say you are applying for a research job, they won't be looking for clinical assessment, they will be mostly looking for some kind of academic assessment or something like that, statistics and all that. So you have to understand the whole context of why they are asking for detailed assessment of the patient. And then you can speculate few things like okay, so they might be having a position open as an physio, and they are looking for specific clinical assessment skills within ortho, so I should be having all that knowledge, or I should be putting all those skills specific to ortho into my resume, so that it's more attractive to the employer. And you can also use the social media like Facebook. We have very small clinics also in India, so you can look for Facebook profiles. You can reach out to people, and maybe look for the LinkedIn profile, or look for that person's profile who is actually running the clinic. Maybe that person has given some more details about where the person is working in uh, uh, on the Facebook or LinkedIn. All right. Okay. So once you understand what are the requirements that the employers is looking for, and you have shortlisted them, like you know what kind of jobs you want to target, right? Then you prioritize your self inventory, meaning that you have, like, let's say you have 15 skills. You prioritize them. What is the favorite skill you have, or where you want to work within that skill? Let's say you come out of college again, like a bachelor of physiotherapy, and you have expertise in all the domains of physiotherapy, like ortho, neuro, peds, and I don't remember the rest of the domains. But let's say think that you have expertise in all the domains, but which is the one that is you want to develop your career in? And let's say that turns out as a neuro, right? So and your job doesn't require a neuro specific, they require a peds neuro, right? So that's how you have to first understand your prioritize list, meaning that you want to work in the neuro, but not all the jobs you'll find will be looking for specific neuro. They might be looking for more specialized neuro or something like that. So what you have, like the best scenario you can get is the job in between. So some of the prioritized items that you have meeting with the real job, that's what you're looking for, and that's what you should be putting in your resume, that these are the items that overlap both, meaning that you have neuro skills, you have treated pediatric patients, and you have treated these various conditions which can be a specialized neuro skills, right? So those are the items that you are putting into your resume, so you can keep your resume targeted and very focused. Once you do that, um, you have to start creating your resume. So there is a lot of information on this slide, um, and I'll go through each point one by one. So what does it mean by develop and design resume? It's very easy to say that, okay, I'm creating my resume. It's very difficult, trust me. When you're starting to create a good resume and you want it to stand out in hundreds of different resume, then it is a very hard work. Um, and the way basically you should put information is basically you put the front loaded, meaning put the skill or achievement that you have, accomplishment meaning the achievement, right? So what you earned within that responsibility, just don't put responsibilities, say what you achieved within that responsibility, or what you basically accomplished, or um, what is the result that you want to display to the employer. So that you should be the first starting point of the any line item within the resume. So if you are writing responsibilities, that should be the way. If you're writing the summary, that should be the way. And even if you're writing your academics, that should be the way you should describe what you did in your academics. All right. Um, so you should also oh sorry, and there is one more thing, you should be using the actionable verbs, meaning that look at this example here. So worked at XYZ institution. So instead of that, worked at XYZ institution, worked is still an actionable verb, but it doesn't show how, like, the achievement. Anyone can work at XYZ institution. What is the different with you? So this is the way you can put it. I've just given an example. I'm no expert in physiotherapy domain, but I've just given an example here that I've treated 25 pediatric patients, right? So this shows the actionable verb as treated. This shows that you have achieved, that you have done the treatment of 25 pediatric patients. So when you're looking for new job for this specific job role that requires this, they'll know, okay, so you have enough experience of working with the patients, you have treated enough patients, right? That's how it should be taken. The next thing is the flow of the resume. It should flow like a story, meaning that the employer shouldn't be connecting the dots between your resume. So you're writing a academic somewhere, and then you're writing accomplishment within that academics in the other section, and then you are writing about the awards you got in that academic part in third section. So these are the three different dots that the employer has to connect, and that's very difficult. They won't have that much time for you there to connect those dots. So your resume should flow like a story, meaning that when you're reading it, it should be stand out. Okay, what exactly you're saying through this resume, and it's clear to me what you have done during each of your position and each of your academic assignment. All right. And always keep it relevant to the job role, because if you are putting in something else, then that won't add any value to your resume. It will just enlarge your resume and it will lose the reader. Like if it's not very focused, then the reader will lose the interest and your resume won't be selected for the interview, because they're not interested in reading further. All right. Um, then you should be relating it to the requirements. So we saw that we like how to analyze the requirements, employer requirements. So based on those that analysis of, what are the requirements they're looking for. So try to word your accomplishment based on that. So in this example again, treated 25 patients, but what pediatric patients, like all the pediatric physiotherapists, they do treat patients so suffering from neurological disabilities and resulting into muscular conditions. So what this means is, so this employer is specifically looking for the neurological disabilities and muscular conditions in children. So that's how you should target. You should word your accomplishment so that the employer, it's clear that okay, this is what I'm looking, this is what I'm getting. Okay, I can match everything. I don't have to connect the dots. I can ask this person to talk further to go through the interview. All right. Um, Again, you should be focusing on the facts, again, treated 25 patients. So 25 patients is basically a fact that you have treated those patients. Worked at XYZ institution, that's, you are already listing there that you already worked at the XYZ institution, so you don't have to, that's not a fact basically. It doesn't say anything about what your achievements or the job you have done. Numbers and statistics were relevant. So like this 25 patients, not always you'll have the number and statistics. Fair enough, you can put other accomplishments, but don't use the words like hard work or very generic words, right? Everyone does hard work on their job, and that's why they are paid for the work, right? So use specific words specific to yourself, and use the specific achievements. All right. Grammar and spelling, you should always be checking that. Make sure your grammar is never wrong on your resume. Otherwise, that can get you filtered out of all the other resumes. And also organize your information to guide your employer. So bold the sections or color them. Use only 2 colors, not more than that. That's like marketing standard, that you should be using only 2 colors. um, uh, that's it really on this slide. So once you create your resume and you send it out to the employers, you also should be measuring the success rate. So see how many calls you're getting back, what is the success rate of your resume, and how that resume is getting you more into the interviews and all those things. So once you measure and you find out, okay, this resume is not working, then definitely you'll have to fix something, go back to the self inventory and start the same process again to come up with a new resume. All right, I think, Pradna, back to you. This was all the approach about it.
Yeah, so when we right now discussed about the color coding that you can use, I have one specific question here before we move ahead. Are there any specific colors that you prefer? Like,
Not very bright colors. Use the colors which are like you can use I usually use brown and blue, dark brown and dark blue, navy blue. But don't use those highlighter colors like the
fluorescent green and all.
fluorescent. Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Okay.
don't highlight. You can color the text. There are two ways you can do it. Don't highlight like you highlight. Just color the text rather than doing the highlight.
Fair enough. I think this was a very good basic introduction to the resume. And now what we've decided is to get on to a bit interactive mode. This was just aimed to get all of you a hang of basically what should be included and how things should move on. But uh, before we move ahead, what I would also like to talk about is our online masterclass series. Positive Physiotherapy started with this resume making webinar because we found that there's a lacunae in this particular area amongst the physios. But 2 years down the line, now that we are conducting master classes, we have also realized that there is still a bit more to be worked upon for clinical reasoning, hypothesis formation, where we as physios are not completely up to the mark. So, Anuj, what we are planning to do is an online masterclass series, which we are planning to launch from 8th of June. and it's going to be twice in a week, every Tuesday and Friday. And all of you who are interested in joining that can register through the contact details which are listed. Most of you have my number, so you can just send me an inquiry for the same. We are hitting on to specific topics because it's an online series, but what we aim to do is cover definitely the basics of our joint mechanics and physiotherapy management, definitely. But these are 6 topics that we are going to do twice in a week. So those who are interested can definitely ping me for the same. Now, moving ahead with our this series, would you just go on to the next ones, Anuj? There were few specific questions that we encountered when we interacted with our student population, and which was, how would you enlist certain things as you, yeah. Rachna ma'am, the timings would be from 7:30 p.m. onwards for the masterclass. We definitely, huh?
I was just saying, this is how you should be doing marketing.
Yeah. So basically, how we have understood right now how it should be definitely there. Most of us end up like, I sent Anuj almost 3 or 4 resumes, including mine. 10 years down the line, he had a good laugh at it, stating that I am still maintaining my academics in the beginning of my resume. So there are few of these questions. If it would be great if you would explain us the breakdown of the resume, exactly what comes where.
Perfect. So there are two, always and always, there are two kind of people who are looking for the job. One, they are just out of the college. They don't have any professional experience, or a lot of professional experience. And the others, they have a lot of professional experience, and the education is quite a long back. All right. So if you see this design that I have in front of me, that's a corporate kind of structure, that resume, sorry, corporate resume kind of structure that everyone maintains. Um, if you see the professional experience, this is the, if this structure is for the experienced professional. If you are new entrant, or you are just started looking for job, then you should be putting your education first, and then your certifications, and then your professional experience, if you have any. If you don't have any, that's okay. You can whatever accomplishments you have in your education, you can just put those into your education section. So if we go through more details through this, right? So we start with the name. Of course, just put first name and last name, and of course, you can use name for highlighting your education. Meaning, uh, I don't have it written here like that, but what you can do is, let's say, Julia Jones is the person who is looking for a job, and she's a master of physiotherapy, MPTH. So she's a very experienced person. So the way she can write is, and the education is going to come very late. So the way she can write is Julia Jones, MPTH. So whoever looks at the resume right away gets an idea that, okay, so this is the person, and this person is already an MPTH. That's what I'm looking for.
So over here, even when we write MPTH, we mention our specialty, right?
You can mention your specialty. Just hit enter below name, add your specialty, like the one you have, Pradnya, right? Musculoskeletal
Yeah, so
movement therapist, right?
musculoskeletal physiotherapist.
So you can continue that MPTH as the musculoskeletal movement therapist, or you can add it below musculoskeletal therapist, something like that. Just
Okay,
reduce the size of the text so that the highlight is on your name, but the information is still there.
fine.
Perfect. Contact details is more of a mobile number and email. Um, in today's world, nobody is going to reach out through the post. So I don't think so. You have to give your personal address or home address or work address or anything like that in your resume. So everyone is going to reach out to you back on email. The purpose of this is basically getting back to you. All right.
Okay,
Third,
so since, I'm sorry,
yeah, yeah,
since
yeah.
we
Go
are
ahead.
into the educational qualifications, again, I would also like to know whether now, since we have our bachelor's, master's, or probably some other extra additional qualification. Adding 10th and 12th marks, is it important?
No, it is not. I actually have planned that further, Pradna, if we can wait
Okay. Yeah.
onto that. Okay, just hold on to your question. I'll get back to it. Okay. So the next section I have is headline. This is a brand statement, like every brand has. This is what people remember as soon as they read your resume. So like you have uh, just Bonvita is coming to my mind. Sorry about that. So Tanki Shakti, Manki Shakti, Bonvita, right? That is what you remember for throughout your life. Tanki Shakti, Manki Shakti, Bonvita. That's how you should also have a headline. If you have one, if you don't have, that's okay. Professional summary, it's the summarizing of your experience, meaning what you have written into your resume. That should be come as a summary. It should also be front loaded. The skill or the achievement should come first throughout your career, what you achieved. And that's how you should be writing it. Um, uh, the next one is skills. This also goes for a soft and technical skills. This is where you explain, okay, I have skills in orthopedics, physiotherapy, but I can also do bedside manners pretty well. I can also do the assessment pretty well, and I can also do the diagnosis pretty well. That's where you write these three skills: assessment, diagnosis, and bedside manners. All right, and these skills should be specific to your job role, not like I speak English. um, is if that's the requirement that's given in the job description that you should be speaking English, then only put that as a skill. Otherwise, um, there is no point in putting that into a skills. Next one I have on the list is a professional experience. Again, as we discussed, this should be front loaded, strong worded, and it should only be having accomplishments. Not Don't just put the institution name. Put the thing that what you have done into that institution, what you have achieved, what you have treated, what you have gone through the or what you have what are your accomplishments basically. Education, again, list the accomplishments with your education. We are going more into detail of that. Certification, workshops, training, again, we are going to go more into details for that. But only list education and certifications which are relevant to the job role. Meaning the question that Pradnya just asked, right? 12th and 10th. You do your 10th and 12th for to get an admission to the professional course. This is a professional job that you are looking for. So you should be just putting the professional degrees that you got from your education or training or certifications. Other, like if you are putting in something like I have done an English seminar in my when I was 5 years old. It doesn't hold relevant with the fact that you're looking for a job which doesn't require you to speak English. But even if it does, then you have done your whole education in English. Why do you have to say that you have done that workshop? And other is can be used for your other accomplishment that basically enhance your accomplishments that you have mentioned in the resume. Meaning, if you're putting something like you have done some volunteer work, but that was focused to treat patients of this specific issues, then that will help you boosting your experience more, your education more. um, if you're putting in like I like painting, that doesn't show anything because it's like it's one of the hobby you have. And if it's like if the employer requires you to paint a picture of something, then that's a different story. But if it doesn't, then it doesn't add any value. And always it's a good practice to have a page number, so that if someone prints out your resume, they know which page they are on and how many pages there are in your resume. All right. Okay, so Pradnya, let's move into your specific questions.
Yeah, so the first one that we just now discussed about adding your HSC, SSC qualification, I definitely understand that when we are applying for a professional job, they should not be mentioned. But over here, we have been doing that since years. Like even I currently, when I sent my resume to Norway for that conference, I had listed my 10th and 12th marks.
Right, like I said, right, they are not adding any value to your professional career, right?
Yeah.
So only professional skills, professional training, professional degrees, they should be included because that adds a value to what you have done. Bachelor's degree should always be there because that's one of the requirement most of the employees follow. And their HR, wherever there is HR, they have to see the bachelor's. It comes as obvious if you have done masters, you have done bachelor's, but they do specifically look for what's the bachelor degree you have done and from where.
Because I had seen a resume wherein a person was PhD, but she somehow preferred to mention that in highlights that she's done her master's also. So, like, you do master's first and then you have your PhD.
PhD is completely different demon. So PhD is at least in Canada and US, you get admission to PhD if you have a research experience. You don't always have to have done masters for to
Masters.
get an admission
Okay.
to the PhD.
Okay. Now, when we are into the academic sections, also, what I would like to know is there are people, our bachelor's is 4 years. So, if somebody has ranked in their second year, first year, do they start highlighting all of that or just
Uh,
mention the final and master year's achievement?
no, that's an achievement still. So I would say mention about it, but keep it to the simple one point that you have done, achieve these achievements. So like what I have done here, right?
Yeah.
So if I so now I reflect on this again, so I see your point. This can be these 2 points can be combined into one, so that we are done with the accomplishment that you are done in year 3. But let's say you are a new entrant in the market, you don't have a professional experience, these are the achievements that you want to show.
Okay. Fine.
And this is what I think expected from the new entrants too. Like when you are I'm sure you must have hired a few people before. So if it's a very new in the market, then you must be looking for someone who is knowledgeable enough.
Right. Now, there's one more query that keeps on coming again and again of whether you should be adding your photograph
No,
to the resume.
no photograph. Even I was telling Pradna why we are adding photograph on the banner for this workshop. It doesn't add any value. Like people are not gonna hire you looking at your photograph. If they are doing that, then that's a discrimination. You should be complaining about against them.
Now, we had discussed this before also about describing your job profile at length, how it should exactly reflect. But we still get, as you had given an example of people just mentioning that even after working 7 years, that they've just worked in XYZ hospital for 7 years. So when we discuss job description, uh,
Mhm.
what exactly should be there? How detailed it should be?
Uh, Job description or the
The
resume
job title.
response? Okay. So job title can be the just name of the institutions. I mean, you have spent your 7 years there. That's okay. It's a title that you are adding, but then you are gonna add responsibilities after this, right? So if I go back on this slide, professional experience, your job title will come after this, and then you'll have specific responsibility or sorry, specific accomplishments that you have done in that job role. So when you're writing a job title, you can like choose like if you're um, where you're working is a very big brand like a Saifi Hospital. So Saifi Hospital is very well known within Mumbai, right? So you should be highlighting that Saifi Hospital or Indian hockey team. So that's what I have done here. Let's say your role is a movement therapist, and the job description says that they are looking for movement therapist. Your clinic that you're working on is a not very popular clinic, you think, then you should be just highlighting or bold, make it bold that you have done movement therapist from this year to this year in this clinic.
Okay.
The other scenario is you have both the brands, like you are working for Indian hockey team and you are a movement therapist, right? Both are the achievements, so you highlight both, and then add a one by one accomplishment below that, and break down those accomplishments. Think it like a story that so let's say you have treated a patient in Indian hockey team, So don't write treated 7 patients in Indian hockey team. So instead of that, what you can write is treated 7 patients of this particular sport injury um, in the Indian hockey team or something like that. So you should always have accomplishment, meaning the achievement that you have got into that job role. Then you should be putting in a scenario, like what was the case, and then at the end it should be a result. So accomplishment, scenario, result. When you are putting a achievement or accomplishment in a resume.
Okay, now as we move ahead, because of we keep on doing a lot many workshops. Okay,
Mhm.
so I remember if I start counting from my internship till date, there would be many more workshops that we have done. So we
Right.
used to still highlight all of them. Like the resume would go 5-6 pages, wherein each and every workshop is highlighted. So how do we manage this information?
We can only focus on those who are relevant, which shows that the skills that you need to for the new job that you learn through those trainings. Only display those trainings. Only those trainings are adding value. So if you are adding all the trainings there, then the actual trainings that you want to highlight might not get the enough attention, right? So only concentrate on what trainings you have done to get the skills required in the new job role that you're looking for. And the way I have given an example here, right? Worked on clinical reasoning, fast and proud. So here, what you have to identify first is what is the skill I achieved. So I achieved the skill that I can do a clinical reasoning, and there are two different ways that I can do is fast and slow. This is what I learned through this seminar. And because it was University of South Australia, this is a good brand, so I'm going to put that University of South Australia in here. And Dr. Mark Jones is also a very well known personality in the physio world, so that's why I'm going to put his name too.
So do we here also add the credit hours? Because most of the universities, when we most of the jobs that we apply for, look at how many hours of workshop or the person has particularly done overall.
Definitely. So if the job requirement says that you have specific credit hours, then put those credit hours. You need to show that.
Okay.
But if the job doesn't ask for that, right, then you are just using the space.
So what
And
happens here in particular is we don't have most of the profiles, the job profiles don't have exact requirement mentioned. Okay, so as we
Mhm.
are going detailed evaluation of this thing, most of the hospitals or the clinics who are hiring us also lack clarity in terms of what they are expecting. So
Okay. So they have hidden kind of requirement that specific credit hours should be done, right?
yeah, so then there is a confusion whether are we missing out onto a certain thing by not mentioning it.
See, once you start sending resume and it's not working, then you will understand that your resume is not working, and you have to reflect on that. That's a one thing. But if that's a hidden requirement, then how you can understand that hidden requirement is by talking to someone. Reach out to the people who are actually working there. Just ask them out for a coffee, and maybe ask about how they got selected or how they positioned their resume. um, and plus you can also talk about, is there any specific requirements that the employer look for and all that, right? You can always do that. Other than that, like talk to your colleagues, go to the workshops, and try to learn how market works, understand the rules of the market, and then um, get your resume up to date based on that. But you won't be doing everything in your first go. You have that will come as an experience.
Experience. There's one more question. Like currently, because of the pandemic, most of the things that have happened in these 2 years are online. So
Right.
I want to know can whether they also carry weightage if somebody has done workshop online or somebody is attending this webinar. Can they document it in this?
Why not? like it's the way, it's the channel, right? That's the way that the seminar is delivered. But you still learn that skill. It's not a hands-on, agree, but then you can mention somewhere in your job accomplishments that you have uh, done this skill on patients hands-on and treated these many patients or something like that. So make sure you mention that. But why not? I don't see any reason why not to mention any online workshops, but they should be relevant, not this one.
uh, s- on an average, how many soft skills? Okay, we'll come to the soft skills and physiotherapy skills to be added on the resume. That's what he's trying to say right now, that at least your physiotherapy skills, put those which are predominantly asked by the employer. So
Correct.
as I am, if I would claim my experience, I'm a musculoskeletal physiotherapist who is a kinetic control movement therapist. So if I'm applying in an hospital like Safi, I would like to put that under the orthopedic section. Okay. If I'm applying for the orthopedic job, I am a certified lymphedema therapist. I would not like to put that accreditation in the orthopedic profile, because that doesn't come under orthopedic. So,
And it's not
your,
adding any value. Your job is
yeah,
orthopedic.
it's not going to add any value to your this thing. So the physiotherapy skills which are going to add value, which are going to increase your employability, should come first. Fair enough. And as far as soft skills are concerned, Anuj, would you like to address this, the
Yeah,
question?
definitely. Soft skills, like the bedside manners. That's one of the soft skills. I don't see it's a hard skill. How you treat people, like when they come to you, basically, right? So some of the main soft skill that you need in your domain. So um, let's say you need bedside manner is one, but you also need coordination, right? That's a soft skill. You need leadership. That's a soft skill. Then again, you need a good communication or improvised communication or something like that. Then again, you can add that as a soft skill, but that should be required by the job. Like they should say, okay, so or maybe that can be something you can synthesize from the job description that is provided.
Fair enough. There's one more question, which is by Alifia. Would you just repeat that once in the chat? Because it's related to the highest score or ranks in particular subjects.
Mhm.
Alifia, you can just drop it in till the time we move ahead. So the next question is about personal information. Now, I was always amazed that we used to document whether we are married, single, and all of those things. So how much personal information should be conveyed through a resume, and
My
what
take,
value does it add?
don't add it because it's not adding any value. Definitely LinkedIn profile, personal website or branding page, put that in, but make sure you have that positioned according to the job that you are looking for. Let's say your LinkedIn profile says you are a neuro specialist physiotherapist and you're applying for an ortho specialist physiotherapist. Avoid it. uh, just make sure that the target job you have, your profile, your pages, everything is saying the same story that you want to put in front of the employer. Otherwise, avoid it.
Okay.
And married and single doesn't make any sense. Like the person can do the same thing when they are married and single. So it's again discrimination.
So there's this question about should we mention highest score that we achieved in particular subject below the BPTH and MPTH percent? So where should this come?
Okay. So you only achieved the highest percentage in one subject out of the whole curriculum of that year. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So is that subject is the only thing that the employer is looking for? And do you really see it adding a value? I don't see it like that. Like it's a one subject. You have every year you have almost like 6 to 7 subjects, right? So you are doing only good in one. That means it shows you are interested in that area. but then you should also have some kind of achievements, or not achievements, but the work that you can define that, okay, I've, because I like this subject specifically, I have targeted this specific research towards it, or I have targeted specific treatment goals, or treated a specific number of peoples regarding this specific subject. But putting in marks doesn't show that uh, like
An
I
added,
don't see that adding a value.
fair enough.
And
Now,
marks, like I've like, unless you have like mentioned like honors or something like that, if you have that, but that might be, you can just put something in bracket in front of your masters, like honors in final year, in the degree itself, not in the um, classes.
okay. There's one more thing that I would like to know is about the extracurricular activities. Now, during this pandemic, we had many of our students who volunteered for the COVID duties or who worked
Mhm.
with some NGOs. Now, where should this come and how this should be highlighted?
So again, document only those are relevant, um, the job description. Then showcase the skill that you have achieved during that volunteer work or extracurricular activity, and how that skill enhance your overall profile, like the target job, how that extracurricular activity adds into your accomplishments. And then again, like how we write any statement in resume, front loaded with the skill. Like the example I've tried given here is treated sports injury in for Maharashtra Police International Marathon. That's good enough, rather than you're saying it that physiotherapist for Maharashtra Police International Marathon. So this statement basically doesn't show that what you have done. You're just a physiotherapist. Have you really done anything? So this is what you have done.
Fair enough. So I think the making of resume is something that will come to us with experience.
Definitely.
We will perfection it as time passes, but there's one big hitch in the Indian market which we have realized is how do we approach the employer.
That's the one last thing like a very important thing.
Yeah.
um, See, as I mentioned before, networking gives you a good chances of getting into a job. So the best case scenario for you to reach out to people, I understand there are a lot of small clinics in Mumbai, and rest of the part of India too. So what you can do is you can try reaching out to people, write a formal email, start with hi or hello, XYZ, hope you are doing well, and all that, right? So write a formal email, add your value proposition in that email, right? And then approach. So it's not only email, you can also reach out through LinkedIn, you can also reach out through Facebook or something like that. Write a very formal post, try getting time of the employer, or try getting time of the other people who are working in the clinic. Try to understand how the process work in that particular clinic or particular space, and based on that you can design your resume. But you should always and always have a value proposition mentioned into a email or the post, that whatever you are reaching out with um, uh, uh, to the employer. And value proposition doesn't mean like pages and pages and very long email. It does mean like a something you can talk about in
Yeah, so that's
a 10
exactly the
second.
question that is being asked. Can you just in short say what should come exactly in the cover letter?
It's not a cover letter, it's an elevator pitch. Talk about it in like a brand statement. 10 second you have, and to create it for a physiotherapist, it might look like uh, the movement therapist with an experience of treating 100 patients with uh, a condition of a piriformis muscle. I don't know, I made that right. uh, but what I write for myself, maybe I can give an example of that. What I write for myself is helping the enterprise leaders with proper coordination and better communication to achieve their strategic goals. So see, I can talk about it in 10 seconds. Like if I don't know whether you all got context of it, but if I talk to someone that is hiring person like me in an elevator, 10-second ride, then that person will definitely know what I'm talking about.
So when we address these, what we want to convey here or hit on the point is you can't just drop your resume as an attachment to the employers. It has to be worded properly and in the most professional way, and then
Hmm.
sent as an attachment.
Yeah. So see, when you're just dropping the resume, like saying, "This is my resume. Let me know if you have opportunity available."
Yeah.
So it doesn't. So as soon as employers see that email, let's say I've done that with you tomorrow. I've sent a resume, my resume, and say, "Okay, this is my resume," and check it out. So you will lose interest there itself. Like, why should I do that? And who are you to so that I should be looking into your resume, right? So you should put it very formal way. And I understand when you're looking for a job, you have to be very aggressive, but make it more formal, make it more enthusiastic for the reader as well, that they should go ahead and read the resume and go through the details, and
Yeah.
because there is a value for them to achieve, for because it's in a benefit of the employer more to read your resume. That's how you should pitch it.
Perfect. So as you discussed about 10 seconds, the elevator ride thing of describing
Yeah.
yourself, I was a part of a BNI for Saturday Club, and they
Hmm.
used to give us 1 minute to talk about yourself. And in that 1 minute, you have to explain the best that you can do. So there I realized that initially we used to think that physiotherapy is not a place where you have to market yourself, but considering today's scenario, it is becoming more and more of how would you put yourself best. And I think within that context, nowadays the video resumes are becoming more popular.
Yes.
So would you just add some highlight on that?
Sure. Video resumes, definitely that's a new trend. You can right away provide your elevator pitch and why should the employer hire you, what's the value probably you're bringing to the organization. It's a good way to communicate that. It's an easy way for the people to get to know you, get introduced with you, and they don't have to go through the pile of all 3 pages of resume if you have 3 pages. So it's an easy way, but I'll still suggest you keep your formal resume at the back when you are actually meeting with the person, or let's say they call you for the interview, or send your formal resume as well with your video resumes to back whatever you are saying, and not allowing the employer to connect all the dots. And one more thing in your video resume, just if you're talking about everything, like I've done my education from this year to this year, I've worked at this place from this year to this year, these are my accomplishments, then it's going to be very difficult for the person to understand. Like this presentation, right? If I would have talked without the slides, would anyone of you have got idea of what I'm talking about? So it's always has to be a feedback loop.
Perfect. So I think we are towards the end of the session. Amongst our lecturers, I can see Rachna ma'am. Uh, Hi, ma'am. It was very nice of you to be a part of it. We would just like to hear your input about the whole session. And if you have any question to target Anuj, please. We can go back to our college days.
Oh
Anuj,
no.
only thing this time we will not ask him physiotherapy questions, right?
Yeah. That's why he's so relieved. He was very happy when I told him that
No, no,
you
I
are joining.
Uh, so it's
yes.
so nice to see you, Anuj. I mean, and see you speak so confidently. I think uh, as when we were students, we were fresh. We never had so much of confidence, and no one guided us regarding all these soft skills that you all are. I mean, and it is the need of the hour because, as you said, nowadays you have to see it's the marketing era. So
Yeah.
you need to really market yourself and tell what is the best. And even now, I mean, we are still used to that traditional way of writing the resume. Like Pradnya said, no, all those marks and this, that, because that is what we have learned all along. Okay,
True.
and I think it will be easier for the young students to change. For people like us, it is still going to take a long time to be able to manage that. And another thing, um, being in the government, where um, it matters particularly when you are in an institution, private institution, where they are giving, where your promotions and everything depends on your what you have achieved.
Right.
Okay, so somewhere when you get stuck when you're in a government, you become a little redundant over the years, and constantly updating ourselves is the only thing that keeps us going,
True.
right? Otherwise, but it was a wonderful presentation. Okay, and
True.
especially for those students who are applying abroad, either for further studies or for job. It makes they have to create an impact, and it's something that can be here. It's your creativity here. It is not
Yes,
that
that's why
someone
I
can,
said it's an art.
you cannot say, okay, ye aise aana hai, ye वैसे आना hai. It is all your instincts, your this thing, how you can make your portfolio good. Okay,
Right.
because if it's good, someone in who's reading it should want to take you in.
Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so, and if you have and also students also, if they have close people, not competitors, but if they have close colleagues who are their good friends with whom they can share and take feedback, because that also you learn along the way. Because
Definitely. Feedback on resume is very important.
very
Yes.
important, because you realize, okay, this is okay, right, okay, this is a mistake, I can change it. Okay, and
Yeah.
everything is a learning experience. But it's a
Yeah,
very
yeah. I
nice
have like hundreds of version of my resume before I reach to the stage
I
where I can say, okay,
Meera,
my resume is
Anuj,
working now.
where were you and now where you are? We've seen your whole thing now.
I know.
So when
It
you
was
once put
all
up,
roller
you did
coaster.
more trials and errors.
A lot of
But
a lot of
another
trials and
thing,
errors.
students should not give up. See, you initially, when you put forward, you may get rejected, and that is one thing we should learn from Anuj: patience. He was patient, and no, you should not give up your dreams.
True.
And
True.
it was, I think, your dream, na, to go abroad and to work abroad, and you tried, you
Yes.
worked hard for that.
My
So
dream was doing an MBA and from the best institution,
very
and
good.
that was since the internship. So
Uh,
yes.
because we see in us, we don't realize, and you are a good example that you don't, if you don't like physiotherapy, even after graduation, you can do anything you want. It's not the end of the world, it's not end of everything. Okay,
Right.
and that is also important, because we are not mature enough to understand that, and by the time we realize it, we feel we are stuck in it. Okay, but it's a good thing, and I'm really happy to see you, Anuj. Really happy.
Me too. Me too. Very happy to see you and hear you, ma'am.
It was pleasure having you, ma'am, and
Yeah,
thanks
yeah.
for your inputs.
Yeah, and
Uh,
sorry for going beyond in 1 minute or 2 minutes.
That's okay. We always love to hear you.
that's appreciated, ma'am, that you stayed for the whole thing and you gave your inputs. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we definitely would have loved to have more. Sandhya ma'am was there, but I think she left
Uh,
midway later
anything
on.
for our kids, no?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much,
Right?
ma'am.
Yeah, welcome.
So,
Thank you.
do anyone of you has any questions? Can put them in the chat box. We also would like if you guys can frame your resumes and send it to positiveclinic@gmail.com, saying that it's your sample resume. Okay, because otherwise we'll start reading each and every one for hiring purpose. let's not do that. But we are happy to help all of you with the probable corrections with what Anuj has just discussed. And it would be great to have a feedback from all of you. So you can definitely drop in the feedback on our email, which is positiveclinic@gmail.com. Fair enough. Thank you, Anuj, once again for a very nice session. Are there any questions? No.
Pradnya, can I speak?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. It was a really great presentation, Anuj, and I think in what the way I look at it is that we have to understand who is going to read the resume. It will take less than 30 seconds to either be interested or not. As you said about the elevator pitch, and I absolutely liked it, is that are there one or two lines which you can talk about yourself, which are very, very crucial. And in the end, the way I look at it is also key. Once we know how to create a good resume, once we know that these are the things which are expected from us, when we go for a job, when we go for observership, we start being far more objective. Like I remember when Pradnya was in World Spine Care, and we were creating a resume, we were creating a presentation, and we had documented that 88% of the patients were successfully discharged. Now, if that kind of objectivity can be created, that will add far more value. If a person comes to me saying, I can discharge 90% of your patients of spine pain, you know what, I want that person on board. So I think that is what we have to all be far more objective and far more precise in what we are trying to document that way. And it was really great listening to you, Anuj. It was your experiences and the way you simplified things for us. It was really great. Thank you so much for
thank you for
sharing
having
your
me.
time today.
No worries. Thank you for having me. All right, so we conclude here.